In this video, I'm going to share with you my exact top 5 tips for cold calling after doing around about 8,000, 9,000 cold calls. And also, if you stick around to the end, I'm going to be sharing with you one of my more controversial techniques I use to get clients on the phone, which might get me cancelled, but if it makes you money, it makes you money. And just, come find me when I'm sort of homeless and got no job because I got cancelled. You can thank me then. But yeah, cold calling is literally one of the most feared methods of getting clients. And, I see why this is, because people are scared of rejection. And, it's sort of a natural human trait to be scared of rejection. I don't know why, but, almost everyone suffers with this. But what would help you, and it's helped me, what I think about and I keep in the back of my head when I'm making a call, is what do I fear more, the fear of rejection or the fear of regret? And in my eyes, if I was to wake up when I was 45, and, still being a job that I hate for the rest of my life, all because I was too scared to pick up a phone and, get rejected by someone that I'm never even going to meet, and they're going to forget about that 5 minutes later anyway, I'm going to let you decide, which is better to do. And the one thing that I realised from doing, 8,000 plus cold calls is that, only about 20% of people will ever straight out reject you or, put the phone down on you or tell you to F off. And the other sort of 80% of them are absolutely lovely and they will reject you softly or just say, drop me an email or, they're pretty nice about it, to be honest. So there is actually nothing to be scared of. And I don't know where I read this, but it's something I applied when I was sort of cold calling, is that, there's only a worst case scenario and a best case scenario. So it never gets worse than getting the phone put down on you and, getting told to F off. And, it never gets any better than, closing the sale. So at the end of the day, you're either not going to get the sale or get the sale. And all these sort of YouTube gurus and stuff who are like, you need to send hundreds of emails, you need to cold call, you need to do this. And I've never even seen them, pick up the phone. Or some of them might, post a video on YouTube with them cold calling, and it's pretty awkward and terrible. And they claim that that's one of the ways they got clients. So I want to be 100% transparent with you and just show you exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to break down all the tips that I'm going to give you today, and I'm going to show you how I've used them live in a call. Also, what's so good about cold calling is it can be, hundreds of times more effective than these other methods that people will say, such as emailing, LinkedIn messages, direct messaging. Because with a cold call or, a phone call at the end of the day, you've got their attention on that phone right there and then. And for example, you could, whack out 50 calls in a day and you might get 3-4 meetings set off that. But if you send out 50 emails, you might not get a single reply in any of them. So it's just way more effective for getting clients and setting meetings if you've actually got the confidence to do it. And with cold calling as well, you do build confidence. So the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So that's, at the beginning, you're going to be pretty crap, but you just got to come to grips so that the only thing you can do is get better. And that's almost guaranteed if you're willing to sort of look back at your calls and, look at the successful ones and realize what you've done well and what you haven't done well. And you are literally guaranteed to get better. So tip number 1, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And this is literally probably the most important tip of all. Because tonality matters so much in the call. It matters so much more than what you say. And sometimes, like even in the last video, I didn't even use a script. And I don't recommend that at first. Obviously, you will need some sort of a script. But the more you sound like a robot and the more you sound like you're reading off a script, the people just want to get off that call straight away because they know that you're trying to sell them something. And it's just very awkward for them because it's not natural to speak in that way. So what I would say with that is when you enter the call, just be very calm, speak slowly, and, be confident in yourself as well. Because at the end of the day, your service is something that's going to genuinely help them. So you're the one in the power position, essentially. So just remember that your tonality is way more important than any word you say. So don't get caught up too long procrastinating on trying to write the perfect script. Because it really doesn't even matter that much. And as long as you've got your clear objectives, so this might be your intro, and then talking about how you can help them, and then asking them to jump on a call with you or booking a call with you. As long as you've got them sort of basic blocks of where the call's going, then, most of the time you can actually wing it and just improvise and, fill the words in yourself, because that's going to actually sound a lot more natural. And at the end of the day, you don't want the call to sound sort of one-sided where you're just splurting out everything you've said on a script.
My name is Walter Hartwell White. I live at 308 Negra.
You want it to be a natural conversation, because at the end of the day, there's no such thing as B2B. It's only person to person. So yeah, the more natural you can sound, the more like speak to them like they would speak to you, the better that call is going to go. So just remember to be calm, collected, and confident. Number 2, This is to assume familiarity. So this one can be blurred between rapport building, but it's actually a little bit different. So this can be, in a way, introducing humour into the call, or joking. So being a little bit more forward and sort of guessing at what they might be interested in or joke about. So for example, in a call the other day, I had an advisor who was on the phone, and I was sort of talking. I was making a joke about things that advisors always complain about to me. So obviously I'm not an advisor, so for me to make that joke to them, it was almost, he laughed at it, and it was almost like he could relate to that. So that would be one method of trying to do it. But another way you could do it, if you don't really know too much about the potential prospect, you could talk about the weather, and you could say, where are you down there? Where are you based in London? Blah, blah, blah. And they might say, yeah, I'm based in London. And even if they're a bit blunt, you could say, oh, well, where I am, it's raining outside, and, what's the weather like in the UK? And I know this might sound quite cringy right now, but, you can put it in a way that's actually quite funny and sort of subtle as well. So that would be the second point, and it's to assume familiarity. So anything you can pick up on, whether they've got a particular, drink in the background, they're drinking Red Bull, and they, oh, I love Red Bull, what's your favourite flavour, something like that. I know it sounds quite cheesy now, but it actually works quite well, because it's sort of being a little bit forward and showing confidence that you're willing to take a risk on a joke that they might not find funny, but most of the time they are going to find funny, and it actually just builds that sort of person-to-person relationship a lot better, and takes it away from that sort of robotic one-sided structure of a sales call. Point number 3, and this is probably one of my favourite things to use in a call, because it's so powerful when you get it right. And even now, sometimes I falter with it, but what it is using silence to build authority. So what I mean by this, for example, at the beginning of my call, I might say, they might go, hello, it's James, and I'll say, hi James, it's Vaughan from GMA Consulting, and then I just cut it dead there, don't say anything. So that leaves it, why it's so powerful, because it leaves them wondering, when you stop dead, instead of going, it's Vaughan from GMA Consulting, I'm just wondering if you could blah, 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 blah. If you stop dead, it's going to make them think like, oh, do I know this guy? And they're trying to think, and they're thinking, well, if you stopped, it's showing confidence, because you're willing to hold that silence, when most people find it, really awkward to hold a silence. So it actually just builds authority in your favour and shows confidence on the call, and just puts that, and puts the ball back in your court, essentially. Any point you can sort of do this in the call, the more it's going to work in your favour. And it might feel awkward, that, and sometimes you might not have anyone say anything for 30 seconds or a minute, but as soon as they sort of say something or ramble on to fill the silence, that you're back in the power position. So this just really helps you to stay and build authority in the call. So number 4, and this is rapport building, and this is probably one you've heard multiple times, but what I found from doing 8,000 plus cold calls is, at first I wouldn't really do much rapport building, because I thought it was cheesy, and say how are you and how is the weather and things like that. But what I found is, when I started actually putting that in at the beginning of the call, it actually opens up a whole different world. Because when you go in straight away and you're trying to, and you might say, oh, hi, it's Vaughan from GMA Consulting, blah, 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 you're straight away pushing your agenda onto them. So already you're interrupting their day, and you're putting what you want onto them. So when you open the call and you say, like, how are you? How's the weather with you? It's going to get them talking. It's going to open them up, because people love to talk about themselves at the end of the day. They're not here to talk, to hear what you're doing. They want to talk about themselves. So when you ask them how they are, it's really going to open them up a bit and just make the conversation flow a lot better. And that is literally something that took me so long to learn as well. It took me thousands of calls before I started integrating this. And it's so effective, and the conversation is going to be so much more longer, and they'll be willing to share so much more with you, because you've shown a sort of initial interest with them, and you've built rapport in the first 30 seconds of the call. So tip number 5, and this is a bit of a more advanced one, because you might not get this straight away, but is to always bring the call back to the objective. So sometimes, if you've done the other steps really well, then you're going to be getting in a flow into a conversation with that client. You might be having a joke, you might be having a laugh, you might be finding out what they need help with, and what they're already doing. And you've always got to get it back to the objective of the call, which is to get them on a meeting or booking a call with them, as a Zoom or Teams call, whatever you use, to actually sell them on. So just remember that how much conversation starts flowing, at the end of the day, you are there to book a meeting with them. So just always remember to bring it back to that at the end, and just keep that structure of wherever the conversation's gone, just take it back to booking in the call. So you can just say, yeah, so it sounds like we can help you with this. Would you like to jump on a call, possibly sometime next week, where we can discuss this a bit further and I can find out more about yourself to see if we'd be a good fit to help each other? And it's as simple as that. And you can even use them exact words if you want, because it's pretty similar for every call. Now, as I said in the sort of beginning of the video, I was going to share with you my more controversial point to say, because a lot of people might not agree with this, but I think it's actually been really, really effective when I've used calls, and it really helps. And it's so for example, it's using a sort of false email or false message to sort of create familiarity. So, for example, what I might mean by this, they might answer the call and say, "Hi, it's James." And I'll say, "Oh, hi, it's Vaughan from GMA Consulting." And they'd be like, "Who's that?" I'd be like, "Oh, I dropped you an email a few months back. I was just following up on that." And most of the time, if they're a busy professional, so this, you've got to be careful with this. If your prospect is someone that gets a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, then this is quite safe to use. But if it's someone that doesn't really get many calls or many emails or is quite isolated, I wouldn't really recommend using this. But most, business owners are quite busy and get contacted all the time, so it's quite safe to use this method. But most of the time I have sent them an email, but if I haven't, then you can still use this. So they might be thinking, oh, what email have they sent? And they're going to feel bad then about saying, I can't remember. So they'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember that email. And then that just gives you a way better in. It's a much warmer start to the call, because it essentially in their mind, it's the second time you spoke then. So the approach is a lot different from a complete stranger to someone you might have already spoke to on email or direct message or anything like that. So it is a little bit sneaky, but if you can integrate this in a call, then it's going to work in your favour and just help you open up that conversation a lot better. So I just wanted to leave you with this to finish it off, and just understand that I know it's going to be scary. It doesn't matter what I say now, and I might appear quite confident to you, but even I do find calls scary sometimes. It's just about finding a big enough why to actually pick up the phone. And what helps sometimes, if you've got a list of numbers in front of you, just dial it before you're even ready. So when it's ringing, then it forces you to get into that state and be ready straight away. And just understand that this is literally one of the best ways to get clients in 2023. And people are like, cold calling is dead. You should just send emails, direct messages, blah, 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 video proposals. Excuse me. But cold calling is so effective because once you've got them there and then, they're on the phone, you're speaking to the business owner directly. They can't ignore it unless they put the phone down. So they've got to really engage with that conversation right there and then. And what I found from cold calling is sometimes you can set multiple meetings in a day, whereas if you were doing the same sort of work with emails, it might take you weeks to get that same sort of output. So if you're one of the people that, if you really want it and you really want to make a change in your life and start getting clients to your business, then this is literally one of the best methods. And I'll be making way more videos as well, going more in depth on, how to write a basic script and things like that. But yeah, I'll just leave you with this one thing, and it's, what do you fear more? Is it the fear of rejection or the fear of regret? So thanks for watching, everyone, and if you want to check out me doing some live cold calling, I'll put the link below.